so much for tuning in today to Rappers in My Backyard. I hope you had an amazing week, and I hope you're ready for this great guest that we have today. Our topic is everlasting bass, and on the grill we talking old school. And y'all know I love setting up every episode with a quote that lays the groundwork for interesting and provocative conversation. So here's the quote. Perseverance is not a long race. It is short races, one after the other. And that comes from Walter Elliott. And I think that sets us up nicely to talk, express, relate, and connect with our special guest today. Y'all ain't ready. Rodney O is in the backyard. What's up, Rodney?
What's happening?
Hey, let's get it, man. How you been?
Hanging in there, just waiting for everything to open back up so we can have a normal life again.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. Talking about normal life, do we have any indication what that really means?
Yeah, not really. Just I'm just talking about as far as let me get back to my craft, as far as performing and putting on shows and stuff like that. So it's been a long year.
Yeah, it has. And it's been one where, Rodney, we had to work all this stuff out in our minds,
Right.
And I just think that a lot of us weren't ready to do that. Because, when you got to have those long conversations with yourself, man.
Oh, yeah.
I just,
you find a lot of stuff to do,
Yeah. And it really, to me, if you have the strength to look inside yourself, which I know that that's something that you do have, because you continue to run every race, and you are basically the epitome of perseverance, and that's why I felt this quote was so timely for our conversation today, because of the many things that you have overcome, in order to continue to build on your great legacy. So thank you for that, man. The first thing I want to ask you, because our audience doesn't know, how did you get involved in music?
It's just when I was young, I was always, trying to either pick up the guitar or make my own music. Even before, rapping was going on, I was coming up with little songs and stuff like that. So just for the pure love of music, that's basically it. That's how I spent a lot of my time, not watching TV, just listening to albums and listening to the radio, and like I said, I wasn't rapping or nothing like that. I was just making up my own songs back then.
Right. And that, it's very different when you start out kind of that way, with just making up and creating your own voice versus chasing other voices,
Right. Well, there wasn't a lot to take from, you know what I'm saying? So you had to be real creative and all that stuff. It's just so flooded now, to where back then it wasn't, it was wide, it was wide open. Looking back on it now, it didn't feel that way back then, but now looking back, it's like, whoa, it wasn't a lot of, you could create your own lane back then, and everybody would listen to your music with a positive ear. Now it's now that's totally out the window. Now it's about your following, your, this or that, it's just a whole different game now. A lot of people who had record deals back when I first started wouldn't have had record deals in this time.
Yeah. Cause I just think like you were saying, back then it was more about I don't want to say it's not that way now, but back then it was definitely about creating your own lane from a creative standpoint. Not a lot of people were looking to be carbon copies or duplicates of artists.
Right.
You know,
and it was accepted. They didn't look at it like, well, we can't play this when we play this. You know, they just looked at good music was good music.
Yeah.
Where today it's totally not. You know, back then that song could come on before anybody started rapping or singing. You would know who it is just from the production.
Yeah.
And that's totally gone now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to talk to you about that. You know, that was going to be my next question in terms of, you know, your song, Everlasting Bass, you and Joe Cooley, Everlasting Bass. You know, I mean, that song even today is so solid on the production. You know what I mean? And it still moves the crowd. So tell me, in your opinion, what was the production back kind of like then versus what we're dealing with now? I mean, everything's so synthetic, so computerized.
Well, back then when I was doing, everything was high end. You know, like I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and we was talking about, you know, I was telling him, hey man, back then when we was making records, you couldn't be choosy and be like, this record didn't come out right, we're not gonna use it. Are you kidding me? We spend $250 an hour on the studio. Everything we do is coming out.
Yeah.
You couldn't set songs to the side. At least I didn't, because every song probably cost $4,000 to $5,000 to make. So you telling me we're going to sit on that? No, we're not. We're putting it out. I don't care how terrible it is. Mm-hmm. You know, to where now you don't have, you know, you got your laptops and you got the cheap studios where you can go in for $20, $35 an hour. I'm not mad at that. I'm just saying, you know, people are real spoiled. Now they got it good. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I have to say that too. And I just want to go back a little bit in terms of how did you and Joe Cooley hook up to become the dynamic two on a lot of the early stuff, like in the 80s that you did?
I was on the road with the Egyptian Lover, and my manager at that time had been at Soundcheck, and I think Kid Frost was on the show. And Joe was there DJing for Kid Frost doing sound check, and he was tearing it up. And I didn't see it, but my manager said, hey man, if you ever need anybody to do some scratching on your record, I got your guy.
Right.
And so I'd already made Everlasting Bass, and I told him, so I was sitting in the studio and I said, hey man, that dude you was telling me about, go, you know, can you get him over here? So he jumped up, called him, went and picked him up, and brought him to the studio, and he did his thing, and I rewrote the song and everything after he came in and did what he did. But we did not plan on being a group. I didn't even know him. When he came to the studio, I didn't even know him.
Wow.
You know, and he just tore it up so good. I said his name, and matter of fact, he was Joe was a mix master at K-Day. And the song that came out, and he came up to me and was like, man, your song is starting to blow up. I'm like, man, that's our song. You know what I mean? So it was not a forced thing. It's just something that happened naturally because of the song, and it sounded like we was best buddies, and we had went in the studio and did it together and all this stuff, but it was really nothing like that. And because Joe being a DJ, everybody thought that he did the beat and this and that, and which is cool. I didn't care. You know, that's one thing about me. I never cared about how hit records came to be. As long as they was hit records, I didn't care.
Right.
And so a lot of people through even till now probably think that Joe made the beat and all this, but actually he didn't. He was just there cutting on the record.
Wow. And at the time that in the 80s, you know, the late 80s, early 90s, I would say, you know, that combination of the MC and the DJ really always worked well, in my opinion. you know, because if you had your own DJ, you don't necessarily have to be formatted to one certain flow in your shows. You know what I mean? You can mix it up and kind of dial in with the crowd on what they're feeling and what they want to hear, and then be able to accommodate it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially in them days, because you needed somebody controlling that, and it's just totally different now. You know, we really needed that back then, but you don't need it now. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, that was our thing. My thing was to go out there and destroy the shows and show everybody how cold Joe was, and that was a main thing with our show.
Wow. And I mean, you guys put on a heck of a show. And I wanted to talk about, you know, like Everlasting Bass, you know, during that time, like, you know, Rolling Stones, you know, had coined it like one of the top 20 West Coast rap songs, you know, and I think they was really on point with that. Because it's still, when you think of West Coast rap, hip hop in general, Everlasting Bass is always in that playlist, you know?
Yeah, it's just weird. The only thing that messed us up was, you know, was New York gave us absolutely no love. No MTV. No. Well, we didn't have a video for it, so that's probably one of my faults. But you know, back then that wasn't really a big deal, and not unheard of to not have a video with your song. But it's definitely, you know, they only paid attention to, you know, the NWA and the Eazy-E's out here on the West Coast. They didn't really try to give to nobody else, you know, because New York, it was their baby. You know what I'm saying? And here comes these dudes from the West Coast doing all this, and they didn't really respect it.
Right. Because they always, just in my opinion, you know, New York, they always felt like us out here on the West Coast had an easier time. You know, I guess they got caught up in this sunshine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and palm trees and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that. But, you know, looking back on it, I get it. If something was started in your city and you guys and that coast is known for that, they don't want nobody to outshine them. So I do get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You couldn't tell me that then when I was young, dumb, and ignorant. And that's exactly what I was too.
Right. I know, boy, the blood seems to boil real quick when you're young and you feel invincible. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, you go places you don't supposed to do. You do things you don't supposed to do because you don't feel nothing's gonna happen to you. You know, at least that's how I feel. I can't speak for it, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, man. So you know what? That sets us up nicely to go to the grill. Let's go to the grill, burn some stuff up. You already lit over there, Joe. You, Joe Cooley, you got that in the background? Oh, I thought I seen something in the background that had old school something in the back. I was like, what? But yeah, man, I want to talk to you about old school. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we touched a little bit like, you know, back then you guys were using real instruments. You know what I'm saying? If you wanted the drums, you had the drums. If you wanted the guitar, you guys had somebody come in live and play, you know, on the music. And now everything is like through one computer, you know, creating and recreating all these sounds for a guitar and this, that, and the other. Do you think that has taken away from the quality of today's music?
It's taken away the quality of the people who grew up like myself and others who grew up listening to Parliament and Cameo and the Barcades and Heat Wave and all that. Yeah. But, you know, you're talking about, you know, 21, 22-year-olds where that's all stuff's been made on is computers and stuff like that. So you remember back in the day, you know, you would hear a song and everybody talk about, man, that bass line is cold on that song. You don't hear that no more. Nobody says anything about no bass line or the guitar solo or this or that. So that's just over with. So, I mean, so to us, yeah, it has. But to the younger generation who makes the culture move, no. Mm-hmm. So you can sit up here and say this and say that, but you're going to sound like the old dude. You're going to sound like the old dude with sour grapes if you complain too much. So I don't even do it. Like, I like a lot of the new stuff. I'm not going to lie. I listen to more new stuff than I do old stuff.
Right. Because,
you know, just for my own head, because I still am in the rap game, and I have to, you know, it's like homework.
Yeah, and you gotta, you know, hip hop is something that has always continued to morph itself into something else, or the what's next, you know. And I
don't mean to cut you off, but that's true. That's true because, you know, we're black and we're just always cutting edge. Like, white people will still say, hey dude, we done went on the dog, this, that. When it comes to clothes, we'll be cool on clothes for about 3 or 4 months. Fila, Troop, Carl Kanai, then we done with it. Yeah. We move on to the next real quick, and so does the black audience.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so it's like it's a curse and a good thing at the same time, because we so cutting edge. Everybody wants to know what the blacks are doing, what the blacks are listening to.
Right.
And we wouldn't have that edge if we didn't throw shit by the wayside.
That's true. And you know, we really do dictate the culture. You know, the clothes.
No, we do all the way. Yeah, all the way. We definitely do, but who gets left behind is niggas like me. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So I just accept it. It is what it is, you know, and you know, that's the only thing about our culture. It's like when you have a hit record from back in the day, like the Mexicans.
Yeah.
They don't care how long ago it was made. To them, they look at it like it came out yesterday. Mm-hmm. But to blacks, we be like, oh man, I get that old shit out of here.
I know everything. Soon as it's new, it's old. You know, because something about our culture, we got to always be moving forward to the point that sometimes it's just sickening. Like, just let something sit for a minute so we can fully see it before we are really done with it. I think that we move on sometimes without really utilizing what we had, in a sense, before moving forward.
Right. Yeah, that's just how it is. But that's because we are so creative and we so cutting edge. But that's the reason why I was successful, because we was cutting edge back then, but it just don't stay around long black-wise. That's all. I mean, look at when Ja Rule came out. He was the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah. Once 50 Cent came out and said he was horrible and this and that, everybody jumped on with the new guy.
Yeah, they did. You
know what I mean? And that's just our culture.
Yeah, it is. Fleeting. What's next? Constantly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Jeez. And I wanted to ask you, speaking about old school, how do you think, because when I talk and have a lot of these up and coming young rappers, they don't know anything about the hip hop culture. Whereas, like, when we were coming up, we knew about the other people in front of us or who did the work in front of us. Just like you said, even though you're not necessarily from New York, you knew that hip hop originated from New York and it was kind of theirs and that kind of thing. I think that there's just a whole missing point or a whole missing legacy to the young people, because you can mention some of the older OG rappers that has done so much in this business and they don't even know them. So how can you do this craft without knowing the history? That's what I'm scratching my head about.
Because people are into what they're into. Some people care about that. Some people don't. Mm-hmm. Some people care about learning about slavery and how it was for our ancestors coming up and this and that. And some people don't give a damn. So, I mean, you have yours that do. There's some kids that be on that, but it's just not a high percentage. And what can you say? What can you do? You can't do nothing about that. You can't be, what you gonna do? Tell all these young men, go back and blah, blah. They'll be like, man, I'm on what I'm on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm on what I'm on, and I give a damn about all that. And a lot of the youngsters don't like the older cats because the older cats be going too hard on them. That's why the OGs, they'll go to the hood and try and talk to the youngsters, and they like, man, get out of here, man. I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. You can not like it, but that don't make it not what it is.
Right. Right. And that's exactly what it is, you know. And I just think that we got to find a way to, connect with the new artists, even though.
Well, the only way that works is if the new artist talks about it and passionately and put those that was from back in the day in the forefront and want to help them get back out there and do stuff. And they don't.
Yeah, they don't.
Some might, but if they do, they're going to do it to the people who are already so cracking from back in the day that it don't matter if they help them or not. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even matter. So it would help more so for a person like myself. But, Cube don't care if the baby or little baby give them any props. What the hell Cube care for?
Yeah. Because it don't make or break the situation.
No.
Not at all.
At all.
But I just think that we always look like we're never together in anything that we do. And that's what's helped a lot of these record companies and all of that, break up the synergy between the different relationships that we have together in our culture. Is, by it not being understood and tight from the beginning. And then when they come in and get to whispering in different people's ears, because it's not solidified in the beginning, you can't maintain it going forward.
Right. And then, now I'm not saying anything that I tell you is from my perspective, but it's like, even with black, we're so used to getting it by ourselves anyway and having no help, to where when a lot of folks get on, the bullshit that they had to go through to get on, they don't even want to reach back.
Yeah.
And help nobody. Yeah. Like, I got this on my own. All the hell I went through, all the shit talking people was doing to me, and then I'm not helping nobody. That's why a lot of times when people say, oh, he's arrogant, he's this or that. Yeah, but you didn't walk in his shoes. His path to getting to the goodness was probably hard as hell. So to reach back, they don't want to reach back. Yeah. Or how many people have you helped out that burned you? So they don't want to do it no more.
Yeah.
And I get it.
That's the real deal.
I get it. We're not people that like to bring everybody. Some people want to be the only ones riding in the Benz, and they cool if you in a Prius or a Corolla. They don't want to see you riding in something that's like theirs.
Yeah.
For whatever's going on in their own head. Me, myself, I like all my folks to get it. I'm happy when everybody gets it, but that I think I'm in a low percentage bracket of that.
Yeah, you are. There's very few of us, that do that. And, in terms of the old school, man, I just think that, it's really is a special time. I love all of the old history and culture of hip hop. And I just really want to stress to the audience and those young artists that's out there, yeah, you guys are doing things the way you want to do them. However, whenever you know about your past and your culture, that will always push you forward in your artistry.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them will respect it more when they start hitting the down slow.
Yeah.
Then they'll probably reach back and see. But come on, man. When you're making money, when you're getting everything you want, you can't really tell anybody. Because a lot of people used to tell me stuff when I was at my hottest point, and if they wasn't on my same level, had the same type of money that I had, I'd listen to them, but then I'd shake it off.
Right.
I'm doing what I'm doing. You can't tell. You ain't even doing what I'm doing. Why I'm gonna listen to you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That type of thing. So and that's understandable. It's just life. It's just how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and we get wiser as we get older. You know what I'm saying? And realize that, you know, all those things matter, but you're absolutely right. It's a progression to get there, you know, of understanding in a sense. Yeah.
Right.
So definitely. So I believe, Rodney O, that we burnt up old school. So let's take it off the grill. Let's take it off the grill.
Take it off.
Yeah, we burnt that up, man. Inhaling.
That's right.
So you know what? I wanted to ask you about your song. This is for the homies. You know, how important was making that record for you? Because it just felt really sincere. It felt specific, you know, and again, it's a great thing.
It was just, I just felt like I needed to make something for my friends at that time, and that's what it was about. Like a lot of, like my first record, I swear to you, I didn't really go in with I just wanted to make happy, feel good music.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing. Just wanted to make something to party to. I was using the 808 back then. Yeah, I was just trying to make stuff that me and my friends like. I mean, it's like back then, whatever I would have made was the time and place for it. You know, I really couldn't miss on that first album. I just couldn't, because I was so locked into what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
And now it's like sometimes I'll be like I overthink it. You know, I didn't overthink nothing. I just did it. And now I think a lot of the older cats, probably not everybody, but you know, I think we overthink it a little bit now. What are people gonna think?
Yeah.
Are they gonna get down with this and that? Where back in the day, it's like, man, just go for what you know. And that's what the young kids are doing. They give a damn.
Yeah,
I remember I was talking to a couple rappers last week. I'm like, man, remember when you couldn't say the same word? You would be like, man, I can't say that. I said that 2 lines ago. Right. Now, they'll say the same word 8 times in a row. Don't even matter. There's no rule. The rule's gone out the window.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Not only in rap, but in everything. It's like, you know, it's just like no rule, like lawless activity, basically. Right.
Do whatever. Yeah, do what you want, and that's all good. You know, I listen to what the young people listen to, and some I get, and some I'm be like, wow. But you know what? You know, if you, like I said, if you complain, you sound stupid.
Yeah, you do. And you sound bitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's just
exactly.
the way to convey a message. You know what I mean? Because your misunderstanding is somebody else's, you know, understanding. And we got to be open for that conversation, which you are. But I do agree with you. I talk to a lot of the, you know, old school or OGs or whatever, and they just like, I ain't got no time for all of that. And I'm sitting over there going like, but do we need, you know, if we could just pour both of you guys into a glass, it would be the perfect mix, because you need foundation in order to, you know what I mean, be able to really get the most out of your artistry. That's just in my opinion. I think that never die, because it's a fact.
Right.
You know, because those records like yours, like you did Everlasting Bass in 1988 or something like that. And it's like that, I can still throw that on now. In fact, I did throw it on at an event, you know, celebrating the 4th of July. You know what I mean? And everybody went along. Nobody said, oh, that's new or that's old. Everybody just started moving. You know, that's how the music was when you know what I mean, was putting out your work. You know, I mean, dude, the bass is everything, and I need that back in my life.
Right. No, I hear you. It's around. It's just way different now. It's just way different.
Way different. So, how did you get involved with concert promotion?
I guess it just happened from doing so many and knowing the promoters and asking questions and stuff like that. Then I'm like, man, we should do, because what a lot of people don't know is me and one of my partners, Big West, threw on the first West Coast festival with all West Coast groups: Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Quick, Dog Pound, E40, Too Short. We did the first one. Oh, damn, I can't even. I think 2015 or 14 maybe, in Vegas at Planet Hollywood. And you can't copyright a show. You know what I'm saying? But me and my boy was the first ones to put on an actual all West Coast event. And, once they seen how it did, then, everybody started doing them. But like I said, you can't copyright a show. No. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't tell Cube and Snoop, hey, don't do another show and don't take this money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So just started doing that. So I've done 3 so far. We did Houston, we did Vegas twice, and they all went good. All of them sold out. Yeah.
And I know also you were putting a lot of different artists on that didn't have a plug at that time, that old school OG artists. You put a lot of people on those concerts that wasn't out there, and sort of gave them another opportunity to reawaken through the different concerts and stuff,
Yeah. Well, what it is now too is like, if you put on an OG show, you're talking about people who used to listen to that when they was kids. Now they're grown up. Some of them have retired. They got their own homes. They have money, so they can pay $150 for a ticket now. To where a lot of these kids can't, what I mean? So it's like an old Motown review with a lot of these shows and stuff like that. And it's really good to see, how they go off. It's just that, unfortunately, when you've created something, people don't be like, man, let's put him on because he's the one that started this and this and that. People just aren't that great. You know what I mean?
I agree with you.
People just aren't that great, man. It's like, you cannot put your faith in the people who are in this business to do the right thing, because it probably won't happen.
Nope, the mix is always in. And you know what? I wanted to ask you something else. I like to ask this question because, when people think they know you, people think you are whatever your songs are that you create. So I wanted to ask you, can you tell us something about you that we don't know, Rodney O?
Not really. I mean, I'm just in the cars. I fix up old school cars, classics, and sell them. Chevelles, Cutlasses, stuff like that. That's what I'm into. I love cars. I'm just a car guy.
Wow. So it's a hobby for you to put together these.
Well, no, it's a business. I find good deals on old school cars. I fix them up, put new interior, paint jobs, rims, and fix them up and sell them. And that I love doing it. I love doing that.
Yeah, and you in the right place.
Even if it don't sell, I still got a nice car to roll around in.
That's what I was going to say. You in a win-win, and you on the best coast to have the best car, baby, because we make candy paint rock all year long out here.
Exactly.
So that's good stuff. So how can we follow your movement and keep up with you with the new things you're working on? Give us your Instagram, your website, and whatever. I'm
on Facebook as Rodney O, Rodney Oliver, and then Instagram Rodney O 100. And these young cats, man, they got the energy to post up live stuff, where they at, they food that they eating. I'm just, I could walk in a room, I mean, rest in peace, Michael Jackson, Prince. I can walk into a room with Michael Jackson and Prince in it, and the first thing that ain't on my mind is to pull my camera out. And start taking flicks. It's just, I don't even remember I have a phone half the time to do that. So I'm always around a lot of people and around a lot of fly shit, but my first intuition isn't to take out my phone and take a picture of it and put it on my Instagram. That's why I don't have a lot of followers, because I'm really not that active. I'm not active on social media. I'm active in real life. You know what I mean? Not personas and showing everybody what I got and what I'm doing and who I'm around. I just don't get a thrill out of that. I understand people who do, because people want to know what you're doing when you wake up. Now they want to see this, but I'm uncomfortable with saying I'm over at the Stinking Rose right now eating. I don't know who's gonna pull up on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not that type of dude, where other people will, but I'm not that guy.
Yeah, location not needed. And that's a great thing from the old school, man. We do what we do by our lonely. And that's the best way to do it, man. Because if they had cameras back when we was rolling, man, I don't know that I would even be on camera now. It'd be a witch hunt.
Exactly. You know exactly. All the stupid shit I've done when I was 20 up to 26, 27 years old. For that to be documented is something that I wouldn't have wanted to happen.
Nah. So I'm so glad there was no lights and no cameras. So shout out to the old school, because we lived to fight not only today, but forever. Because you ain't got no old pictures on, me or Rodney. So, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
So, let's go back to our quote, because I just think that it just set everything up so nicely. And really, Rodney, kind of just encompasses, who you are to us in this business, and what we think of you and your legacy of music, and you continually getting out there and just finding other ways to move forward, and change the game still and yet. So the quote goes, perseverance, I can't pronounce it now. Perseverance is a long race. It is short races, one after the other. And that's what you've done. You've persevered, and you continue to just keep moving forward and pushing the legacy forward. And we appreciate you for that. And I appreciate you for spending the time with me today to discuss it, your thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe next time I'll actually be in the backyard instead of on Zoom.
I can't wait till we can be together again, man, because this started out as a live thing,
Yeah.
Because something about when you're in a room with somebody, you can really feel the essence of how deep they want to go in their conversation, or, what places you can go in relation to what they're comfortable with. But through this Zoom, you kind of in your situation and I'm in mine, so it doesn't, in my opinion, move as swiftly and cohesively as it should if we were together. So I definitely want you to come back to the yard, man. I mean, you family to us, and I can't wait for us to get together, for real.
Yeah, it's all good. Just let me know the time and date and I'm there.
All right, cool. And to my audience, thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, comment, like, and share. Just like, me and my boy Rodney O was saying, this whole YouTube thing is about likes and shares and this and that. So in order for us to grow, theoretically, you guys need to subscribe.
Tap in.
Tap in. Let us know what we need. Let us know what's going to make your day happy. You know what I'm saying? Because we bring an old school, great legacies, and we also talk to young and upcoming rappers. You know what I mean? So this is the bridge, and this is the connection right here in Rappers in My Backyard. And to you, Rodney O, man, thanks so much for tuning in with us today. You are everlasting bass, man. And when I think of you, I think of bass, and I think of 808, and I think how bad I want it back.
I appreciate it. Hey, everybody got to be known for something, right?
Yeah. It's so good to be known for that bass, baby, because ain't better than the pot. Yes, indeed. And to the audience, let's talk, express, relate, connect next Sunday at 2. All right. And remember, we can't get enough of everlasting bass. Bass, baby. All right. You guys enjoy your week. And thanks so much for tuning in. We out of here. Love you guys.
We rap about relationships, entertainment, and music. You heard?